Well, we are in the process of charging the 54 Buick. We're maintaining it on the R12 system that it originally had. We're going back with the R12. I got my gauges all hooked up to the compressor. As you can see, we got different levels because I've just started adding some of the Freon, adding another can, actually another pound. It takes 7 pounds to totally charge it up. So you put the adapter on the old style 12 can, and then you screw it down to it. Once you got it down all the way to it, you twist and puncture the can. After you puncture the can, you roll it back up so the can is punctured, and you start adding the Freon. You've got to put the Freon cans in hot water, raise them up to about 100 degrees, and that way, because the R12 Freon is cold, and it'll flow better if you warm it up a little bit. So that's what we're doing right now.
Mm.
Hey Mark, check that one of the outlets and see what it feels like.
You think that much cold air is blowing out? It's blowing out cold. It's winter, but it blows out, it's like fucking probably mid-60s or something. It's not cold.
Well,
It's colder.
it's only a little over half charged anyway.
So is she working? Video.
Don't let it go close.
I can see you're going to be a lot closer on this. Yeah, Charlie's side, that driver's side is a lot closer. You've got an eighth inch here, and over there you've got 5/16. Well, not now. I got 3/16.
Huh?
My gap just got tighter.
It will when this thing drops in.
I know, but we had it drop there a while ago. That's 3/16?
Yeah,
That's a quarter to 5/16.
where's our gauge?
Oh my God, I'm a touch, man.
You're not going to.
Well,
But I still think it's off. It's. But you ain't going to know
Okay.
if you go all the way down. It's not going to touch. I would think if you went all the way down, it's going to
all right.
How close were you here?
But that's pretty consistent. That side is pretty even.
Really
We have,
looks.
the hood emblem here. You see we got it all taped up. It's back from the chrome, and we're having a little bit of adjustment to it where it's built up. Greg's been grinding away on the inside pieces to get it to drop back down on these sides. Just some of the little tedious crap you got to do when you get it back from the chrome shop. Otherwise, it's fitting real nice. But you can see the little teeter if you push a little tiny bit of pressure. But that's where we're at. Filing a little bit on the piece inside, getting it fitting just perfect, and then we'll put the spear and everything back in. I keep dusting it off. I think it's off every time I walk by, I get something on it. Still more time in fitting it and making sure everything's fitting together after the chrome. The chrome makes things a little bit thicker in places. And you adjust and have to do a little bit of filing here and there sometimes and get her just right. Sorry about moving the camera everywhere. There's an old one. And real quick. There's one of the new ones. Caps are all polished out. We'll be putting them on, and I'll show them to you as we get them on. I think Greg's working on the hood. Anyway.
Well, as you can see, we got the Buick Roadmaster logo setting on the trunk. We got our Buick, it's a painted background, chrome's all nice and been redone. You can see that it's setting underneath of this rubber base so that it doesn't scratch the deck lid. So we'll stick it in place so I can open up the lid so it doesn't want to come off and slide off and scratch the nice finished paint. Just a safety precaution to keep it in good shape. You can see that when I set it down, it's all level, logoed, straight. It's got a little bit of adjustment in it. I've already made the adjustment so that it's nice and even, centered in the trunk lid, centered directly over the key lock. Now we'll lift it up. See why I put the tape on it so it doesn't slide off. Now I'll go back underneath from the back side here and tighten. It's got studs that stick through it. The studs are on the end and there's bolts in the middle that go through so that it'll be all nice and sealed behind the bolts. We also put in rubber sealer so that it's not going to leak and put water inside the trunk. And that pretty much wraps up the logo in the back. After it's all nice and tight and secure, we take it loose. And you can see how nice and clean and shiny and polished it is on the back. We've got our logo placed here on the top. Had to come underneath and file the holes into place. It's sitting on here. Once again, we'll tape it off so that it's safe and secure to open up the hood when we go to look at it underneath. You can see it's nice and tight. Edges are nice and clean. The logo on the hood does not have a rubber base under it, so it's got to be real nice and tight down to the paint. Since you've seen it last, we've put the Buick logos on letters on the front. The hood itself now is all latched and adjusted. You can look down the side and see the nice seam on both sides. We've got it to where our hood latch, safety latch works under here. All that's clean and adjusted. Once you look inside the hood, you're going to see some different things that you've seen before. We now have our air cleaner on top of the motor. Just put it on this morning. Nice and clean and shiny. Underneath of the hood, got the latch that we put in. It's all working and everything goes under here. Here's the safety latch, just it drops down. The spring goes up in there to give it its spring to pop up. We've got our tabs here for our bolts, which hold the logo on top of the hood. Everything in here is pretty much wrapped up underneath of the hood itself. You can look, we've got all the star washers in the fenders. We've got our bumper bolts. We've got our bolts across through here with the star washers where they're supposed to be. Flat washers on the grill parts itself. No star washers here on these bolts. That's just the way it was supposed to be. And when you close the hood, you just kind of have to be real careful, real gentle with it. Once it's been put into place and it latches down that easy, you can look how clean and even the alignment is of the hood against the grill.
Really good looking.
We've also, since you videoed last, we put the headlight bezels in. We've got rubber rings that go in here to seal the headlight against moisture. We put the headlight turn signals in here. There's also a rubber ring that goes in there. You see the screws are turned so the slot's the right direction, the same way as the grooves in the bezel itself.
Cool.